You're listening to Infoverity's Trust Us podcast, where you can gear up for your data management journey with bite-sized discussions on industry trends and thought leadership. On each episode, we'll feature industry experts to help you navigate your path to mastering your enterprise data. Welcome, listeners. I'm Jocelyn, and I'm joined by my co-host, Taylor. Hi, Taylor.
Hi, Jocelyn.
I'm really excited. We have such a special episode of Trust Us for you today. We have two guests with us from Discount Tire and Great Clips. In this episode, Taylor and I are going to be facilitating a dialogue between Luke and David, who are each navigating their master data management or MDM journeys. While their starting points differ, they share similar platforms and use cases. We'll ask a few simple questions designed to spark constructive discussion and hopefully provide you, our listeners, with valuable insights from real-world customer experiences. So, without further ado, let's start this episode with some introductions. David, Luke, would you mind introducing yourselves to our listeners?
Sure, I'll take it first. I'm David Campione. I work for Discount Tire. We've got about 1,250 stores across the country. I've been there for 26 years, so I've got a lot of history. Started there as a developer, helping to build the original point of sales out there in the stores, and moved through a lot of different roles, wore a lot of hats, management. We did an SAP implementation back in 2014, and that's really where my career turned to more data focused. I was responsible for the conversion of our legacy master data into SAP. So that was an experience. And then they asked me to build out the master data team. At that point, we were centralizing control of data to a master data team. So I managed that team for about 5 years, and then I was asked to try and start a data governance program, which was just starting to get off the ground. And we had a customer 360 desire, I guess I'll say, for several years, pretty much starting during SAP. And it just had fits and starts. So I was brought into some discussions, and as I like to say, with all my history there, I knew where all the bodies were buried. I knew about our customer data and various platforms that it was sitting on. Like a lot of other companies, we had multiple sources of customer data. Pick one. So after some initial meetings with a consulting company, they asked me to drive the customer 360 implementation. We did our due diligence, RFP. We settled on Informatica. I shouldn't say settled. We chose Informatica as the leader in that field. And then we started our implementation. So that's my journey with data and into Informatica and customer specific.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Really appreciate that. It's so interesting to hear about your background. I think there's some parallels there I'll touch on in a minute here. But my name is Luke Barber. I am a manager of data management at Great Clips Inc. And I've been here for just under a year and a half. Again, working with Customer 360, Informatica implementation. We're in the midst of that right now, doing a point of sale implementation. That's the current phase we're on. But backtracking a little bit, the way I got into master data was actually through a SAP implementation as well. So I thought that was a fun little parallel. Back when I started my career at 3M, they were doing a large-scale SAP implementation, and that's how I got started in master data management, was in customer data governance, supporting Dun and Bradstreet lookups for customer master and appending and enriching that data. So nice little parallel there. But in terms of why we got started at Great Clips used to have a vendor manage all of their data for about 30 years, or for the entire existence of the company up until a couple of years ago, where the owner of that data management company decided he was going to retire. So at Great Clips, it wasn't necessarily a strategic thoughtful business decision as much as it was reactionary to we need to figure out what we're going to do because we have all these business processes that run on data that we are going to need to take over. So the decision was made then to in-house all of our data management, build a data warehouse. Part of the data warehouse process that was going on was the mastering of data. So we're taking over that part as well, and that's where we did a similar thing. We did an analysis of the vendors. Informatica was selected as the leader in the industry. And yeah, the first phase of the implementation was setting up some integrations, batch integrations daily. And now the next phase is setting up real-time integrations, leveraging the APIs and the custom application integration.
That's all great information. And, both of your journeys, I'm sure, very much resonate with our listeners. It doesn't matter where an organization is in its master data journey, but there's always those common elements, adoption, platform performance, understanding the value of master data. Those are all themes that I've been hearing, repeatedly over and over in all of my years as a consultant.
And I think the next question that maybe we can cover, since we've kind of covered both who each of you as individuals are and also that origin story of master data management within your organization, is what are some unexpected benefits of continuing your MDM journey that you hadn't anticipated?
I think for me, especially with the customer data, just getting involved in a lot of the privacy things, regulations that have come down.
You stole my answer, David. You took my answer.
Yeah, unexpected. I knew that stuff was out there, but it's like, oh yeah, now I have to worry about this stuff. And with the SAP data, we were obviously a core piece of the company, but customer has just really it's driving the new point of sale that we're rolling out. So just a lot of unexpected requirements. I'll just put it that way that we've run into. But in general, I think it was just getting more involved with the legal aspects of the data that I didn't have to worry about before.
Like I was saying, I thought the exact same thing. I never really, I guess, connected the dots there, but I think we're all pretty well aware that there are lots of states that have data privacy laws and data consumer rights, and I think more and more states are looking to incorporate those types of rights for consumers. And one of the unexpected benefits that we've realized is now that this is our source of truth for customer, and the platform has a delete functionality, and it has the ability to essentially implement a retention policy. Now we're able to very simply incorporate a retention policy for our organization's data, which is, I didn't think it would be that easy to incorporate something like that, which is, music to legal's ears. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have a team that's dedicated to, we just blanket call it CCPA, even though each state's got its own thing. I think everybody does. But we get, quite a volume of requests, opt-outs, give me my data, delete all my data, all those things. And, to an extent, that's something that we weren't prepared for in the space, in the customer 360 space. We're a small team. We've got like 3 people. So it's just the support thing, I think, is another piece of this that we didn't really plan for well. And that's a lesson learned in general.
The support of the volume of the legal requests?
Not just the legal requests, but in general, like I said, it's supporting, now this is supporting our stores as the customer database. So, there's just some nuances there. No data is ever perfect. But, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, I guess, but just things like the match and merge process. And, we were very conservative. So we didn't do 100% merge, which to me is a good thing. But just things like that and getting calls from the help desk, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yeah, I can definitely empathize, excuse me, with you there. Are you guys fully deployed across all, you said, 75, 1,200 stores?
Yeah, we're not. We're in the middle of the rollout. We're in 550, I believe, right now. They're hoping to get it done before Black Friday. I'm sure you can relate to that too. But so it is. So it's that kind of half in, half out. Our legacy point of sale was one of those multiple customer data sources, and it was self-contained. It doesn't know about us. It doesn't know about any of these other sources. So, it's happily in its own universe there. And to an extent, that's what the salesmen were used to. And what the company was used to, which is yet another lesson learned. Be prepared when you decide to be the source of truth and what that's going to mean to all your other processes. Another thing I always say is everybody's swimming in the same pool now. Whatever you do to that data is going to affect that guy over there. So we all need to be coordinated more so than we've ever been before.
Yeah, I think that's another huge one. The coordination is something that I didn't expect as much that we would need. Especially similar to you, we were in an interim state where we were in 48 salons out of about 4,500. So we were in about 1% for about 10 months. And yeah, we had a lot of the same issues where we were having some help desk calls. Basically, if there's an issue with POS, then they would call us too because it was hard to determine which was which. But also being in both legacy and going forward with implementation led to a lot of kind of data synchronization questions between the two platforms, because every day we'll take all of our data and send it over to our point of sale system so that way they can match it up, so that way legacy customers get the same updates. And that also led to a lot of checks and balances, so a lot of coordination, communication there as well.
Yeah, we do a nightly batch from our legacy system as well. A lot of our other sources are either real time or near real time. But yeah, that whole management. I mean, even though we say we're the source of truth now, there's still, we've kind of drawn most of the other systems, customer facing website, things like that, into using us. But there's still things like I mentioned, the legacy point of sale, all self-contained, including history, customer history, invoices. Whereas there's another repository for invoices that's on an SAP platform. And that's another thing where people have to get used to. Yeah, you were trying to synchronize data between 5 different systems in the old days. It didn't always work. And now you're all using this set over here. So yes, don't flip back and forth between the legacy system and the new system and expect them to be 100%. There's got to be discrepancies.
Yeah, exactly. It's new, it's improved. There's going to be improvements. I think is how I like to always phrase it. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm curious, how many other sources you guys have? You said you're in the midst of point of sale. Was that like your first phase? Was the first phase similar to ours with the nightly batch? Or did you go straight into real time, or are you integrating with applications or web apps? I'm just kind of curious where you're at and like what your next couple phases look like.
Okay. Yeah, it was the web apps actually that went first. We had a near real time with, much like every retailer that's online, our customers have the ability to create an account for themselves. In our case, they can put vehicles in their, electronic garage, things like that, keep track of their history. And so our first phase was a data load from that system, as well as the legacy point of sale. So we did do a mass load of like 65 million plus customer records from legacy. We tried to be selective, like get customers that were within 10, 12 years, last invoice type thing. So we just tried to figure out who was an active customer. And wow, history, I'm forgetting our sources right now. I'm drawing, it's the fear of being online and being on a podcast.
No, it sounds very similar to what we were doing. I mean, we did the same. I mean, even the volumes almost sound the same, which is kind of eerie.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had similar volumes. We did we did the batch process, but also is from we call it CMP, so our customer managed profile. So that's our application or web app, and then also from point of sale. But we did then the point of sale real time first is where we're at. And actually our next phase is going to be then the web app, the iOS, Android app, and doing that integration.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, we have true business customers in addition to our regular retail customers. So SAP is the source of truth for those business customers. So we also had near real-time integration with SAP. We give our employees a discount, so we decided to make that more seamless. We brought in the HR data, not all of it, but just enough that we would know they were an employee and be able to get them a discount. And then there's a couple of, like, we have a call center application that connects to us now. So it's not a huge amount of sources, but it's a lot. It's still a lot. And one of our challenges was that in the middle between SAP and when we implemented 360, there was another effort to do like an in-house version of 360 where they took the data from legacy, loaded it into a Hybris platform, and assigned those records yet another customer ID. And they decided to use that to track the invoices in the SAP platform. So that's another layer of, okay, now we have to connect all this together. We leverage the alt ID table, the alt ID concept so heavily to connect the dots. That's our saving grace. Otherwise it would just be a nightmare.
Yeah, we do exactly the same thing with alt IDs to connect, because I think it sounds like maybe that was one thing I was curious about actually, is how do you determine, what's a customer if you weren't doing master data before? And I was curious. One thing that I guess I didn't expect as part of this journey was to have my source table be, like an invoice master, and have to determine customers based on invoices.
Oh, wow.
Based on traditional MDM, it's like kind of 101. This isn't transactional. Whereas I think that's one of the unexpected benefits of this platform is that it is transactional. It is real time. It's an evolution of MDM, I think, since the 10, 12 years, maybe 15 years now I've been working. But yeah, since when I first started, it was we didn't do transactional data. It was more used on the creation side. So that's been an interesting paradigm shift for me, and I think for others as well who have kind of grown up in the MDM space. And I also think that's one of the unexpected, maybe not unexpected benefits, but it's one of the benefits, and I think it's one of the ways that the platform is going to continue to expand. And I think it's something the business is really going to want to leverage. For instance, I was mentioning our next phase of integration outside of point of sale is going to be with our app. And part of our roadmap is to implement a loyalty program, right? So now you can see all of this is coming together. We're trying to make sure we have the most accurate data, so that way we can help provide reward points and get loyalty, get return customers, spend less money managing customer data and have more accurate customer data and put it in front of the customers. So that way they can use it, they can see what we have, and that builds trust in the brand, and just, our ability to operate. So I think that's really interesting. And then even the next phase, we were talking about legal, that's our next phase, is then we want to integrate with our legal compliance platform. OneTrust is what we use.
Okay.
So we'll do real-time integration there. We haven't thought through all the details yet. Obviously,
Yeah.
we still have a long ways to go. But right now we are facilitating some of those requests in batch. But that's just another evolution. I think as things continue to go on and on and on, right? I think we're just going to keep expanding with more and more real-time sources. I think as we continue to do solid implementations, the business is going to catch on and see the efficiency gains that we bring from having clean data in a single source of truth. And I think that's really going to be appealing. What sounds like, David, you guys are a little bit further in the journey than we are. So I'm just curious, like, what's on your horizon in terms of next integration sources? There's anybody, beating your door down trying to say, hey, we want to start this project?
The biggest thing is analytics. I mean,
Okay.
I think we didn't do a good job of managing expectations in the beginning, and it was kind of like, okay, you got the data, give it to us. It's like, okay, wait a minute now.
So do you
And
just egress it to like a database, or is it?
well, we've been struggling with that a little bit, and frankly, some of it was, like I said, it was just give us the data. It's like, what do you want? We don't know, just give us the data. It was that kind of thing. We didn't have good requirements, and the integrations as well, to be honest. It was just, well, exposure data. Well, how? Why? What do you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the analytics thing has been going on for a while, and over the past year and a half, 2 years, we've really started working with, we have a couple of teams. We have like a raw data analytics team versus a couple of more focused teams.
Like advanced analytics, kind of like AI data
Yeah,
science things?
data science. Yeah, exactly. But then we've got the individual teams within some of the groups that want to do things like lifetime customer value, demographic type stuff. So, it's, to be perfectly honest, it's been a little bit of a struggle because of the volume of data and, just the requirements, and how we're going to get that data out. I mean, at one point we were being requested to dump data like every 5 minutes. And it was like, that is why, A, B, we tried it and it was not very good on our staging system. So that was like a non-starter performance wise. So our initial phase of that was to take the alternate ID table, because it was like, okay, the thing you guys have always been talking about is lifetime value, purchasing trends, et cetera, et cetera. You know where you get that data from? The invoices. Figure out the invoices, that's us.
Yep.
So we're basically dumping now the alt ID table, which is very light and relatively easy in the grand scheme, straightforward.
Pretty
So
skinny
that's
at
where we're
least.
starting. Yeah, that's where we're starting with analytics. But yeah, that's a big one. And to your point, once they know you're out there, it's like you get a lot of people knocking on your door. Right now, since we are in the middle of the rollout, that's what everybody's focused on. But I expect some things once the dust settles on that to be coming up. And even as the rollout's been going on, and like I said, now people are realizing, okay, wait, it's one big pool of data now. We've had a lot of cleanup stuff to do. As they begin to process our data. That was another surprise. We didn't really align very well on what their expectations were. They heard words like merge the customers, and everybody had their own, idea of what that meant. And then reality was a little bit different. So for those listening out there, that's another big thing, is make sure your partners are very close and understand really what your capabilities are and what your data looks like. But aside from that, I think some of what the future holds for us are, you mentioned retention a while ago. We're pack rats. We have data from 25 years ago. So, and that's another thing that, every year, every other year, somebody says, we should have a retention policy. And it always gets lost in the shuffle. But that's one of the things that I want to start driving, just because it's kind of silly to have that much data out there for a variety of reasons. And in our industry, really the lifetime of a tire is like 10 years. So beyond that, it's like, other than analytics, where you don't really need all this data. Customer hasn't come into your shop in 10 years. Are they really a customer? So things like that. And governance. Governance is another one. Like I said, I was one of the people that was trying to start that before 360 came along. We want to take another run at it, just in our little selfish space of customers and vehicles, and talk about what that means to the company. And then hopefully, we can help expand that out to the other domains of data. But yeah, I think that's what we got right now for the immediate future.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like you got your hands full. Sounds exciting.
Yeah, there's a bit. There's a bit.
Nice. Yeah, sounds like we got similar roads ahead.
Yeah.
I think that you have naturally progressed through all of the questions that Taylor and I intended to ask you in the very best possible way. And I'm happy to let you both continue the discussion, but I did wonder, I have a question that I didn't plan this in advance, but I think that this would be very relevant to our listeners, which is to say, as you think about your master data management journey, and as you think about the skills that you need in order to support that, how do you consider the support of a professional services organization like Infoverity? I think that is something that I have heard many of our clients struggle to navigate, and I think both of your perspectives on that would be really interesting to our listeners. So for instance, like, how do you decide where you ask for help from your partners versus what you do internally? And how do you navigate the level of expertise that's needed to support a platform like MDM in all of its respects? Again, as a platform owner of an MDM platform in my previous life, it was something that I struggled with, trying to know the balance. And especially early on in my journey, I struggled to understand where I should invest full-time resources versus more specialized skill sets.
Well, lots to unpack there. So we used Infoverity. We've been using Infoverity from the beginning. And, the initial was, help us stand this up, help us build the data processes, the load processes. And then, again, it was another one of these, okay, we didn't anticipate, I guess, the level of support that would be needed. Again, we were a very small team. We didn't even have a development resource when we first rolled this out. It was basically me and a data steward. So yeah, we quickly realized that we needed Infoverity to help support us, to do, development work, to keep us moving forward. And I think at one point we actually used one of the resources that's not still on our account as a data analyst, a data steward type role. But yeah, I think it kind of grew organically for us. We had our phase one, our phase two, and I think over time, people really saw the value in having Infoverity on board as development support. What's the word I'm looking for? Guidance. Taking advantage of your experience in the space, your experience with Informatica. And I'm not getting a kickback here, folks, but I mean, you guys really helped us grow with the product. And I have to say, I mean, we were lucky. We had a lot of really good resources from your company working on our account. And, they truly did become an extension of our IT. We are in a space now where it's kind of like we're in a stable space, but we've still got, I think, four resources supporting us, because like I mentioned earlier, it seems like we've always got some kind of a data cleanup going on or some tweak to integrations or something. We have hired a developer. So to your point, we on a weekly basis, we're always reevaluating what's in our Jira, going, okay, who do we want to do this? Who do we want to do that? And, looking at Infoverity's possibly moving into more of a day-to-day support role to augment the team. So yeah, I understand where you came from. It's not easy. It's not easy. You want to get the bang for your buck, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you went first on taking on that question, because I'm still trying to figure it out. I've been here less than a year and a half, and it's my first role where I'm able to, I guess, be the supervisor of these resources, right? To be their manager, and make these determinations. And yeah, it's not an exact science, I would say. In our experience, I think it's like anything in life, right? There's changes. So we started off, and I think the plan was Infoverity is basically like staff aug. We have like one person, and that one person, coordinates with Infoverity and then with the business, and they're like a liaison almost. But pretty much we rely on Infoverity to do everything, and we help support. And I think that happened for a while, and I think we had there was like a director, and then we had one guy, and the one guy was like the liaison, like an analyst level. And then he decided there's a reorg, and then he decided to go with the BI team. So then the position opened up, like maybe we should have a manager do this. That was the rec I applied for. So then I ended up getting hired into this position. And when I started, we had two people from Infoverity, and they were like project resources, helping one, Nick Smith, awesome guy, huge shout out. Yeah, he helped develop the APIs. He did a great job. And Willie Jacobs, he was the other one, also great guy, tremendous work. He helped us build our batch integrations, which is more on our Snowflake. It's more like data engineering, but then also understanding the CDI component, right? No matter what, you're going to have to understand the platform. So I think that's the part where it's like a lot of people aren't going to come in with that particular skill set. So when it's very platform specific is when I start thinking I need Infoverity, and I need them bad, because otherwise that's going to take a long time to build up that knowledge, regardless of if you're a great developer, you're a great data engineer. If you've never used, the C360 IDMC platform, it's a learning curve. So that's really when I try to determine, this is when I think we really need their support. So one specific example is for real-time integrations. We use a lot of custom app integration, and that's all built within the platform. And so that's where we really heavily lean on, the Nick Smiths of the world, and Infoverities, to help us do that and make it happen. So that's kind of how I've gone about it. I think if it's more of a data engineering, prepping the data, staging the data, and then we just reference that as a source. That's more, we can kind of do that with our EDW data engineers that we have that we're helping support analytics. They can write SQL. They're good at that. But they don't know the platform. So
yeah, and I mean, once you get that team in there, that they learn your business too, and everybody's got nuances to their business. We've got some crazy stuff, behind the scenes.
Yep.
So that's a big part of it too. Once you've got that relationship, to me that's one of the biggest pieces, is explaining to someone what's important in your business processes. You need that continuity. The other thing too, and maybe you ran into this too, I mean, we look for developers, and for whatever reason, it seems like it's really hard to find independent developers that have experience with the platform. I mean, yeah, there's, it's it is what it is, I suppose. But
yeah, I mean, I think the product's only maybe 7 or 8 years old, so I think there's that as a consideration versus like SQL's been around probably, I don't know, as long as I've been around, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I think it's really interesting. We've had the similar experience. I hired a developer as well. Similar experience. I went in kind of knowing like I'm looking for somebody who can learn, because it didn't come across, so I think that's where it really plays into our advantage to, work with these partners like Infoverity to make sure that we have that skill set, because you guys do a great job of facilitating that and cultivating that skill set within your organization. And another area too, outside of just specific platform development, that's really been helpful. And Kate and Sarah, who are part of our team now as support staff, they're super good at helping us with designing and architecture process. All of that is very, very, very helpful when we're trying to think through a business use case and how do we want to implement this? How do we want to make it happen? They know the capabilities of the platform. So it's invaluable to have them in those discussions to help make sure that we're making strategic, efficient, feasible, decisions.
Yeah, and for us, our data steward actually took another opportunity rather recently. So, now we have to fill that area as well. And that's another position that seems like it's very hard to fill, not just the technical aspects, but just somebody that wants to be that hybrid of hands-on with the data versus more, the high level governance, bordering on governance. Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's another thing I think people just have to be aware of. It seems like this is a difficult space in general to find strong people. Otherwise, you are in a position of, okay, they've got some skills, they don't necessarily know the data or the platform. Let's grow them from their basics. So
yeah, I feel the same way. And even early on in my career, I worked at 3M doing the SAP implementation, and they had like 3 things that they called career accelerators. One of those 3 things was to work in the master data management department. So I think they understand that not only is it challenging, but the entire business is run off of data, right? So it really gives you a good understanding of the processes, the technology, and the people. So I think that's why they did it that way. But I hear your point. It's not something that a lot of people seem to be self-selecting into.
yeah.
So it seems like kind of a niche field. Yeah, so it's challenging, but that's why we got our partners.
Yeah.
Really awesome insight, guys. And that is a really difficult balancing act to perform. Luke, you said it really well. It's an imperfect science, and very different considerations for each organization. So your insight's very, very helpful there. So as we come to the end of our episode. You both have been excellent guests and have brought a lot of excellent information to the table. But I want to ask you one final question. Is there anything that you two are particularly excited about that's maybe a little bit on the horizon that you haven't had a chance to talk about just yet?
Huh. That's a little bit of a tough one. I mean, I think just for me, stabilizing the platform, and by that I mean, like we both talked about, we've got a ton of stores out there that are now going to be dependent on this platform, and there's always some growing pains. And not that we're unstable right now, but just getting through that rollout. Again, I don't have a better word than stabilized, but get the platform settled, and then it just becomes business as usual. That's really kind of what I'm looking forward to, is just getting to that phase where, then we can think about the future. I mean, we're still on the hosted platform. Moving to the SaaS platform comes up. So, being able to concentrate on that. What's next in general?
That's interesting. Yeah, we're on the SaaS platform. So it's an interesting distinction there. But I'm in the same boat as you, right? We took a pause. We did a maintenance pause. You were talking earlier about data cleanups. We strategically took a pause. We backed out of the 48 salons we were in to have a maintenance period where we could accelerate the data cleanups. We could implement retention, and then also accelerate performance testing. So we're able to do all of those things. And now soon we're looking to start back up our pilot program. And then the road's clear in our minds, right? We can continue with the faster rollout throughout the other 4,500 salons. So I'm excited because that's going to be like, I don't know, 10,000 iPads that are, hitting all of our APIs. And then the next phase is now we're integrated with, your phone, your iPhone, your Android phone. Now we're supporting millions of devices.
Wow.
At that point. So that's what I'm excited about, because once we get that stabilized, that's a huge step forward in Great Clips, in their evolution as a company. Not only are they managing their data, but now they have it customer facing real time, globally, where before they had something similar, but it was salon by salon. Now it really takes the technology and it spreads it out through the entire brand, right? So they get that brand value at every single salon, not isolated data, just your individual salon. So I think that's going to be huge for them. And also seeing how this propels our metrics. We're a very data focused company, and seeing how that can improve some of our operational metrics and how that helps with marketing and those things. All these things that we talk about, high quality data is going to improve. I'm excited to see those improvements.
Well, we're excited too, and we are so grateful, David and Luke, that you were able to join us today. I know that Taylor and I both got a lot of value from hearing your stories. In fact, I think we're both about ready to cede our roles as co-hosts of this podcast to the both of you. So if you'd like to do that, I think it's up. I think it's up for discussion. But
Call my agent. We'll talk. We'll talk.
I'm really confident that all of our listeners are going to get a lot of value out of this discussion too. And personally, I know that the team at Infoverity has and will continue to enjoy supporting you along the way. We so value your partnership and your continued collaboration. Thank you again for your partnership, for your participation on this podcast, and for a really insightful discussion that I think a lot of people are really going to benefit from.
My pleasure, I'm sure.
Yeah, my pleasure as well. Thank you so much. And huge thank you to Infoverity and a big thank you to David. I got a lot out of this discussion with you as well. It's been very, very informative. I love having a counterpart who's gone through similar experiences to to just hear their story and bounce ideas with. It's been, a really good time. So
Yes.
big thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
For more than a decade, Infoverity has been established as an industry-leading consultancy specializing in solving enterprise data management business problems with best-in-class technical solutions. Our firm has consultants located around the globe with headquarters in Columbus, Ohio and Valencia, Spain. If you'd like to learn more about how we can help you, please visit our website at infoverity.com. We've also included additional contact information in the show notes.